Now, falsified or misrepresented qualifications remain a significant issue in South Africa, especially within the public sector. This comprises recruitment as well as trust in organizations, although the 2019 National Qualifications Framework Amendment Act made it a criminal offence to misrepresent qualifications. But the problem still persists. Faith Nyaka, Chief Director then for Quality Assurance and Accreditation Management at the National School of Government, joins us now then. Faith, thank you so much for the time. I actually want to go to your website, and I hope you'll allow me here to really just talk about the purpose that is of the National School of Government and what that is. And wording is then that the National School of Government in South Africa's purpose is to train and develop public servants, fostering a professional and effective public service that supports national development objectives as well as service delivery in line with the Constitution. Again, thank you so much for the time. Why is there such an increased prevalence of falsification and misrepresentation of qualifications, particularly in the public sector?
We think that there are misrepresentation because in terms of our HR chief directorates implementing policies inconsistently, and also in terms of how these advertisements are done. And you'll find that not all HR departments are verifying their qualifications for those people who are appointed in the public sector. And that is creating problems for us to see that increase in the number of people with misrepresented qualifications.
So how do we stop it then?
We introduced the National Framework for Professionalization of the Public Sector. In the framework, we identify ways in which we can professionalize the public sector and also how to enhance and also to improve the ethical conduct of the employees in the public sector. As we have indicated that the National School of Government is responsible for capacity building, we are doing a lot of work in terms of that to capacitate public servants. And also the framework is very clear in terms of the requirements for the human resource departments in the departments to ensure that before an incumbent is appointed in the public sector, they need to go through the process of verification of qualifications. And also the framework is going beyond the asking of verification of qualifications. We have introduced also integrity assessment to make sure that people who are appointed in the public sector are ethical, and we also introduced that they must also check criminal records and other stuff. And the NSG itself has introduced a Nyugela. It is an examination that we give to public servants, and we have benchmarked that with other countries, your China, your Singapore, and also your India, where before you join the public service, you have to undergo a series of examination for you to be proven adequate to join the public sector. The NSG is the custodian of the Nyugela. We call it Nyugela program. At first, we only conducted Nyugela for senior managers, but through the implementation of the publication of the framework, we are now introducing this Nyugela to middle management, and it will go as time proceeds to ensure that we also introduce Nyugela to lower levels. And also we have indicated in the framework that we also need to collaborate with professional bodies, because the aim is to enhance the capacity so that those professionals that we appoint and join in the public sector, they can also be affiliated with the various professional bodies. We know that they are very key in giving them your professional designation, which is also linked to a qualification. So we believe that with all those interventions, it will help us to ensure that, proper and ethical and fit public servants, employees are joining the public sector.
Faith, this all sounds absolutely great because the context of it is works. The understanding, the lineage and why it needs to happen like that. Sounds great. The problem has always been implementation of things like this, which is why then, even when you've made it's been made a criminal offense to misrepresent your qualifications, it still doesn't create the kind of scare and the kind of hindrance of something like this happening. Is the problem that implementation?
I think you are correct to say, we have good policies, but, sometimes you can control individuals. But once you join the public service, we believe that the areas or interventions that we are introducing to make sure that we close that gap, because remember that the NQF Amendment Act of 2019 and now puts departments, it gives us a responsibility now to report these people that we have verified qualification and were found to be misrepresented, to report them to the police, so that just the justice system can take care of those, because that will be beyond our responsibilities. And I think that we are doing that in the public service, and we believe that with the introduction of the NQF Amendment Act, it will also help to curb, because if you can remember, in the previous years, the Act was not active and people were continuing to do that. And we believe that introducing such measures, including that of reporting misrepresented qualifications to the justice system, it will also reduce and curb the spread of misrepresented qualifications in the public sector. And we believe also that as the public sector, we also have to ensure that we train our staff and we also capacitate them so that they understand, the issues of misrepresenting qualifications.
Is it time to perhaps make negligence a part of this equation then? And I say that about some of the people who are recruiting or selecting staff. Is it time to maybe say to them that any kind of negligence will create some sort of criminal offense for them?
I think in terms of the legislation and policies in government, if you look at the national framework, there's a section, I think it's the last chapter, where we speak about consequence management. The Department of Public Service and Administration, as you are aware now, they are busy with the public comments for the bills in the provincial level now. So we, in the bill of the public service and administration, there are a lot of areas that have been introduced to that to make sure that how we are going to deal with the conduct of the public service, because that's where they are being regulated, because there are policies and regulation that revision of the bill tries to strengthen the role of government in terms of ensuring that there is proper consequence management for staff if they don't do as they are expected to do. So we are trying to the framework is recommending a lot of reforms, and especially in the area on how to ensure that we fast track and we address the problems in the public sector when employees are contravening the regulations and laws in government.
Yeah.
And I think the other issue that we have introduced, if you can look at the medium-term development plan for 2024 to 2029, all those areas in terms of what is expected for us as the public sector to implement the framework, it is across from local government up to the national department. So, which means everyone in the sector will be held accountable, because also the medium-term development plan supports the implementation of the national framework towards the professionalization of the public sector.
It's going to have to be the professionalism that is really maintained, the kind of standard here that is maintained by both those that are applying and those that, of course, are selecting and recruiting staff. So, Faith, indeed, your work is going to be very cut out for yourselves, and as long as the remainder of the other members. I think there are 13 members that are part of the National School of Government. So appreciate your time as well then this afternoon here on Newzroom Afrika. Faith Nyaka, Chief Director then for Quality Assurance and Accreditation Management at the National School of Government.